Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Universo Expositor. And today I'm thrilled, I'm happy. We have a very, very special guest. So I'm so happy, Victoria Matey, to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Victoria, this is something that I'm passionate about, which is, as I've told you before, I have a master's on mindfulness and positive psychology. So for me, finding somebody who's doing actual research and based on that, helping us event producers, event organizers, to have a different input. That is amazing for me. So I want to start with you and ask you, how do we apply behavioral science to the design of our events? How can someone like you can help us?
Mhm, mhm. Thank you for your kind words, and I'm really pleased to hear that we are on the same page. And I would really love as many event professionals as possible to tune in and apply this approach in their event planning. And so basically, it's about application of the findings that are provided from behavioral science, from psychology, neuroscience research, to improve basically every single aspect of event planning and event design. And I always say that, experiences take place in people's minds first and foremost. It's not, there is no single aspect of the event that is not connected and is not tied to how brain work, how we behave. Um, and if we know how people learn, how people communicate, uh, how emotions are made, then we are better off with producing remarkable events, remarkable experiences. And everyone has a brain, right? So if you want to reach someone, if you want to convince them to take action, um, you have to learn how humans work, what drives people's choices, what makes learning stick, what makes us interact with each other and make our communication more effective, right? And it's all that is happening at an event. So when we learn about how humans work, we are improving our event design. And we've got various challenges. For example, during the pandemic, engagement was on everyone's mind, right? We've been discussing it so much. How we make the events engaging, how do we make them sustainable, for example? Because we can provide a lot of opportunities for people to and we will try to make the event sustainable, but if you don't know what actually makes people take some action, and what drives their choice, specifically sustainable choice, then you can go all you want, you can provide all the opportunities, but they are not going to proceed with those opportunities, right? And when you know how people make decisions related to your event, how they decide to buy a ticket, how they decide to attend specific sessions, how they decide to choose some sustainable options at an event, right? Then, if you know that, then you are able to deploy it at your event and make it more efficient, make it more meaningful, make it more effective for everyone. So that's basically why we need event psychology.
Sure, absolutely. And I think this has to do not only with the decision making in terms of I'm going or not going to that event. So that is something that for me, it's also tied not just to the economical aspect or the financial success of the event, but also the psychological success of the event. What can you tell us
Absolutely.
about that? How does events help people in terms of being more, happy, or, going into this positive psychology area?
Mm,
How can
mm,
we as organizers help people achieve, you know, engagement, I don't know, meaning?
mm.
How you feel about this?
Yes, it's an interesting question actually, and I've been thinking about that a lot because I believe that events are a catalyst for change. They have this potential to change people's lives, quite literally. The internet was born out of a conference meeting, right? And there are so many other examples how, events change people's lives. There are I remember I've come across some stats about how many people form couples after attending the event. It's like and I mean business events actually. So they're not. So it wasn't like one, like a dating event. It was actually a conference. How many projects were born out of the collaboration that started at a conference or at a trade show, and of course we need to remember about that and make intentional steps about designing an event that will help people change something in their lives and will bring some emotions, hopefully positive emotions to their lives, right? And of course, as we learned throughout the pandemic, events are vital because people love being together. People love sharing the experiences. And there is a research actually that says that the shared experiences are different. So if people have, the experience of tasting a chocolate and they're doing it alone, the taste is different from the taste when they taste it together, and that's amazing. So the shared experiences have this component. When we experience something together, the experience gets elevated, gets amplified. And so from that perspective, really need to think about how to make experiences better, how to improve various aspects of whatever we are creating, be that a trade show, a workshop, an online event, or a conference. And I also think that what we are missing or not doing enough at the moment is we are not thinking about behavior change and psychological value, because when we attend an event, we attend it for some reason, right? And then most of those reasons are sort of subconscious.
Mm.
We used to think that events are only about learning, networking, stuff like that. But actually, there might be other reasons for which people attend events. Maybe they want to escape their work routine. Maybe they want to escape their families, because and that's a legit reason, because if imagine someone working and doing some chores and all this daily routine, and then they have an opportunity to go to a conference to connect with their peers and to break free from their daily routine, from their family and caring about their children. And that's also fine, because it doesn't it doesn't mean anything bad. It's just that provides them with the opportunity to experience something new, right? And so we need to take those reasons into consideration as well. And we also need to think about, what does it mean for people to attend your event? What does it mean? What kind of status it gives? Because this is something that we do not articulate, do not talk about, but actually that's what comprises the psychological value of the event. What does attending a specific event say about me as a professional, for example? Because some events, people attend them just because they're so cool. If you
Mm.
if you say, "Oh, I attended that event," and everybody else is like, oh my gosh, I've got such a FOMO because you've been there and I wasn't. This is the aspect which is more intangible, but in fact means a lot. And event marketers, by the way, should think more about this type of things like psychological value, because this is something that they can market when they advertise their event and when they promote an event, because people are more drawn to those internal psychological values rather than to any obvious reasons and benefits that we usually promote.
This is awesome. I'm loving this, and this is because it has so much to do with everything that, for instance, the PERMA model from Martin Seligman status, right? The PERMA model, which is positive emotions, engagement, accomplishment, a relationship, meaning all these tools that help people to feel better and be better, and they are not as obvious as we think, and you are thinking, you're talking about these really deep insights and reasons to go to a show. So how can we apply that? How these scientific, because it's scientific insights, can help us improve an event, design an event? How you use that? Give us an example.
Yes, I will give you a few examples. So if you try to solve, different challenges, we've got a lot of challenges around the event, right? How to make them more engaging, more memorable, more meaningful, all those kind of things. And how to make content more effective, how to make networking more effective, for example. And we usually try to solve those challenges with traditional approaches. And then you become limited in the number of tools that you've got, because everybody else is using the same tools, right? And frankly, most of those tools are not that effective and are expensive. And we've got more and more limitations and constraints these days. So when you add psychological, and this is a term that I got from Rory Sutherland of Ogilvy, and he's the the mastermind behind Night Talk, my favorite behavioral science festival. And he says that there are logical solutions and there are psychological solutions. And when you add those psychological solutions to your mix and you base your approach on how human works, you discover very interesting and most of the time low-cost ideas. So for example, did you know that adding more breaks to the agenda positively impacts learning outcomes for the attendees? I guess, throughout the pandemic, we've learned more about that, and more event professionals started using this. So a lot of event planners introduced more breaks to the agenda for that specific reason. But it wasn't like that, even a few years ago, like 5 years ago. But when we introduce breaks, people have more rest, more time to reflect on what they learned, and more time to process the information. So they actually remember more and they get more satisfied with their learning experience at an event. Did you know that if your attendees wear headphones instead of listening to a speaker via speakers, it increases connectivity and engagement between the audience and the speaker, which especially important for the online events probably, but you still can introduce it at an in-person event as well. Did you know that specific wording can increase opening rates? The wording in the email can increase the opening rates and actually increase ticket sales. Or have you ever considered that it is more effective to give away event slag intended for the attendees' family or co-workers rather than the attendees themselves? So all these insights, they come from psychology, from behavioral science, and neuroscience, and there are even more to discover, about how, scent can influence the time, the amount of time people spend at a booth. How, Sonic logo influences the perception of the brand, and event can be a brand as well, right? So all those kind of things. And I believe that, integrating event psychology approach makes the job of event professional and the event marketer easier, and leads to more memorable and effective experiences.
You cannot have event planning without event psychology. You need to put them together. So how does this work?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not saying that it should be a substitute for, all the other approaches, but rather a valuable addition, because like I said, experiences take place in people's minds. And of course, when we do planning from the strategic perspective, right, then we integrate, several things into that mix, right? And then the event psychology approach provides us with tools that go beyond short-term results, because they are rooted in human psychology, grounded in human psychology. The impact is long-lasting, and that's why it makes the approach part of the strategic event planning.
Okay.
Like I said, I believe it's a valuable addition to the toolbox, to the strategies that event professionals and marketers can have.
Awesome. This is key, and this is new, because I don't think that, as you know, this podcast is mainly in Spanish and much more for Mexico and Latin America. But I think this is like a new field for us. It's nothing that we usually talk about or
Right.
even know about. So this is quite interesting. And it also takes me to the point where I foresee, or I see that there will be challenges for us, because
Yes.
as this is based on the human psychology, on human behavior, and we are having all these changes with these new generations and the way they are thinking, on the way they process information. Human behavior is always changing and in an evolutionary state. So
Right.
how do we cope with that? And what are the most challenging trends that you foresee for our industry, taking into consideration this, new generations and new ideas as a humanity?
That's a great question. But first of all, I would like to mention that even though this is an interesting sort of paradox, maybe, even though the human behaviors are constantly changing, human mind actually has not changed for thousands of years, and there are some things that we should really remember, so that we do not fall into some misconceptions about how human minds work. And one of these misconceptions, as an example, is my favorite about attention spans, because somebody somewhere said that attention span, humans have attention span as the one of a goldfish or something like that. And then it got viral. It's everywhere, and every article about attention span. But it's not correct statement. It's not a correct statement from neuroscience perspective, from behavioral science perspective. And I know that those kind of misconceptions, they are very sticky, and people kind of remember those metaphors about goldfish and stuff. But we need to remember, and we need to follow the science. And when you decide to, and I just wanted to mention to your listeners that when you decide to follow this approach and to apply it, make sure that you really check your sources, and you follow those people that talk science and not rubbish, because that's important. So there is this kind of balance between, knowing that there are things that haven't changed, but there are, of course, behaviors that the behaviors that are changing all the time. And we need to make sure that we attune to that and we address those changes as well, right? And one of the examples for the changing behavior is about how we, during the pandemic, we reevaluated, we as a society generally reevaluated how we value time. And that sort of is reflected now in how we design the program for the event and how we, how we add those breaks that I just, mentioned before, or how do we create presentations, stuff like that. And because people realize that time is the most valuable resource that they have. And because of that, they value, because of, they place a different value. We are now not competing with other events. We are competing with, people's time that they provide with their family, they spend with their family or with their friends, or they do some hobbies, or, go on vacation. So we need to understand that, realize that, and create experiences accordingly. So that's that, right? But to your question about the challenging trends, one trend that I would mention is that I see a large gap in the quality of events in various types of events and various sectors. So we have this continuum where on one extreme, there are events that push the cutting edge, and they experiment with formats, they try unconventional ideas, they aim for more inclusivity, they try things like emotional metrics or sensory elements. So they do a lot of brain-friendly best practices, right? And on the other hand, we still have events that are designed in at a Stone Age level, held in a dark, windowless rooms with boring panels, walls of text in presentation decks and whatnot. And so this gap should be removed. And one of the trends that I see, and it's not going to be easy thing to do, but I expect that, there will be some sort of leveling out due to better knowledge exchange that we have within the industry, within the events community, due to better representation of the industry in general, and due to wider adoption of online events, and of course, due to application of human psychology insights that many professionals have been embracing.
Awesome. This is great. This is great insight. And this also leads me to something that you are already doing to put this word out to all of us. And this is the Event Psychology Lab. And I want you to tell us about it, because I know it's an online course that you designed. So what, if I'm an event designer, event planner, wedding planner, trade show director, whatever, what will I find there? What's your aim of doing this psychology lab, and what will I find there, and what will be the achievement I will have if I complete the course?
Right. So I'm proud to say, that this is the course, one of a kind course, because there is no course like that, literally. And it covers key behavioral science concepts. And I always say, that with my work, I translate from scientific language into events language, because I know I've been a planner myself, and I know that there is a lot on the event planner's plates, right? And to add something else to that plate might feel like, you know, too much. And so with this course and my work in, you know, with other initiatives, I aim to help event planners start, you know, with some small steps and understand the basics of how to integrate that approach into their work. So it is packed with, you know, examples of how you can use it for your events, references to research, case studies. And I would say it's a unique opportunity to upgrade your industry skills and gain this competitive edge. So it has, this is a 3-hour on-demand online course. So it's completely, you know, self-paced. So you can take it, you know, in your own rhyme and whenever you want. Then it's a bite-sized video lessons, followed by some references, and each lesson provides actionable science-based tactics that you can use immediately. And I use a lot of examples from real, you know, world, real practices. And like I said, additionally, there are over 100 references to resources to explore further. With this course, you will also get 15 checklists to guide you through different, you know, aspects of event psychology approach. You will get a certificate of completion, and also you will get a free consultation, individual consultation with me after the completion of the course, where you will be able to discuss your own event, specifically get a tailored advice from me, because I usually work with, you know, events of, you know, any kind, to provide the tailored advice for them, for their event, for their challenges specifically. So if you take this course, you will get this opportunity as well.
Wow, this is awesome. So it's the full package,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And
yes,
it's
absolutely.
online. So,
It is.
yeah, okay, that's awesome, because that's the way right now is the more, you know,
Yeah,
practical way to do things and to get improved in what you
absolutely.
are doing. So I think this is great. So we will get to where they can get your information later on. 3 learnings that you have had during your career, your professional career, something that will, as event planners, help us to just take in account. What are those 3 learnings that you will like to share with us today?
Yes, that's a great question. So I would start with this. So if you're a young professional, then my number 1 advice would be start networking as early as possible. And by that, I don't mean sending random connection requests on LinkedIn, actually. But rather engaging in meaningful interactions, and more importantly, sharing your own perspective. Because you know, even if you're young and even if you don't have an experience, like much experience in events, your perspective is valuable. Share it and interact, communicate with as many people from, you know, from your network as possible, and expand your network. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would say would be about learning and about, you know, learning from other industries, other sectors, changing directions, because I believe, you know, it's never late to change directions and to keep learning if you want to. I went to get my second university degree 11 years after the first one, you know, and today learning can happen not only through university programs, but through short-term courses, books, other people, even podcasts, events. Attend events that are not from, not, you know, done for your industry. Attend events, you know, for other industries, because this is how you can learn some different ways, some new ways of doing things. And number 3, learning would be take care of yourself. You can be efficient as a team member or a leader if you don't take care of yourself first. You know, And especially if you're in events, it's a tough job. And being kind to yourself and supporting your emotional and physical well-being is essential to prevent burnout, to enjoy your job, and to help others.
Awesome. I loved it. I loved it. I love this last part because yes, it can be tough. You know, you're working on weekends, you are working away from home, you are working extra hours for sure, and you are under a big pressure from all sides, right?
Absolutely.
Everything could go wrong, so you have to really be very focused on the event, and that is very self-consuming. And I think this advice is just amazing, taking care of ourselves. So this has been great, Victoria. Really very nice insights. I feel like we could be talking for 5 hours more, but maybe we can do a second episode on this because it's so vast, so interesting, and so new for us in Latin America and Mexico that we surely will have you again, if possible, in another
Absolutely.
episode. So for our closing, we would like to know, where can people get in touch with you, and are you available like for consultations, for like, how do they approach you in terms of following you in the and social media, but also what can you do for us?
Right. Okay, so what I do, I provide advice to event teams and to individual event planners and event marketers about how to improve their event programs, event strategy, event marketing with science-backed tools and ideas. So for tailored advice, you can contact me by email, or you can follow me on LinkedIn and send me a direct message on LinkedIn. And I believe that we will get those links right in the notes.
Yes.
Yeah. So my website is Matey, matey.events. That's my website. You can also get some resources. Some of them are free on eventpsychology.gumroad.com. This is a platform where I put out some of the resources. And for the Event Psychology Lab online course, you can get it on eventpsychology.thinkific.com. So those are 3 websites, and if you want to follow or connect on LinkedIn, I would be happy to do that. So please reach out on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. So everything will be right on your screen when you are hearing it. You will see all that information on the screen. And well, thank you so much, Victoria. It's been awesome to be able to talk to you about this so interesting theme on psychology and events. So something new for our audience, and hopefully you had a very inspiring motivation for you to go deeper into how you can help your people, your attendees, your exhibitors, your conferences, your speakers to be more in line with what a human is, and how to help these be better for everyone in the industry. So thank you everyone so much for your time, and see you in another episode of Universo Expositor. And we thank you again, Victoria Matey, who is expert on these topics, and we just love it. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.